Welcome back. Still tuned in to Salam Media, your home of humanitarian journalism. And from West Africa, we'll now be turning our attention to the Middle East, where the devastating assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the head of Hamas political bureau in Tehran, on early morning in on Wednesday. The shocking event has not only intensified the ongoing conflict, but has also cast a long shadow of Palestinian cause for self-determination amidst the backdrop of an ongoing suffering and genocide perpetrated by the Israeli occupying forces. This incident raises critical questions about the future of Hamas and the broader resistance movement. Joining us to unpack the ramifications of this significant development is Dr. Sami Al-Arian, a renowned Palestinian academic and political activist based in Turkey. Dr. Al-Arian will provide insights into Haniyeh's assassination and what it means for Hamas, the Palestinian struggle for freedom, and also some kind of regional stability, if there's anything at this point that can resemble that. Prof, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media.
Thank you for inviting me.
I think first and foremost, the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh has sent shockwaves, across the world and across the broader Muslim world. From your perspective, what are the immediate implications for Hamas and its leadership structures at this point?
Well, Israel has a history of assassinating Palestinian leaders that goes back decades, even as far back as the 40s. So what we're witnessing today is just a continuation of this policy. Israel is continuing to exterminate Palestinians, to have a war of genocide, as we've seen in Gaza. It's trying to depopulate, depossess the Palestinians in the West Bank. It has unleashed this unprecedented war, ethnic cleansing, against the Palestinians. And part of that war to exterminate the Palestinians, to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians, is to eliminate their leaders. Hamas has suffered this before. It's not the first time, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time that they target Palestinian leaders, Hamas leaders, as we've seen this past few days. In 2004, they killed Ahmed Yassin, who was the founder of Hamas, and then his successor 3 weeks later. They have killed scores of Palestinian resistance leaders, both from Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Fatah, the Popular Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and many others. So this is not something to be looked at strangely. At the same time, Hamas is a very disciplined, very organized, and very popular movement that has thousands and thousands of members. They have been in existence now for over 4 decades. They know how to elect their leaders. So I think soon a leader will be announced as an interim leader, and then it will be followed probably next year after the war with an elections. They do have a structure where a leader is elected from the bottom up. They can only serve 2 terms. Ironically, Ismail Haniyeh was in his 2nd term, and he would have ended his tenure next year. So next year there will be another leader.
And I want to, kind of shift focus now to the role that, other regional actors like Iran and Hezbollah and other, resistant factions might play in the aftermath of Haniyeh's assassination. I think, we've heard and seen statements coming from these organizations. From here onwards, what can we anticipate? Because tensions, I think, right now are at an all-time high following this assassination.
Israel has this thuggish mentality. It's an outlaw state. It's a rogue state that does not care, does not follow, does not respect international treaties, conventions. It has assassinated a political leader, and I emphasize that he was the political leader of Hamas. He was the person who was leading the negotiations for the release of the captives. He was assassinated in Tehran, in a city or in a state rather, that has sovereignty, that has a position in the world. And he was a guest of that country attending the inauguration of its president. Israel discounted all this in contravention of all the treaties, of diplomatic treaties, of of uh, sovereign rights of these states. So for them to kill him in that, they're basically calling for war. Now, certainly, Iran is not going to be silent. Iran will respond forcefully. This is certain. Not only they did that, but they also killed a prominent leader in Beirut, and Hezbollah has vowed that they will respond to that also forcefully in both in terms of scope and in terms of distance. They are so far the northern front has been limited to skirmishes at the border. With the assassination of their senior military commander, there is going to be a response that will go deep into the heart of the Israeli regime. It might get as far as Tel Aviv or beyond, or even in Haifa and other important cities. Tehran also will respond forcefully in order to avenge, not only to avenge the killing of its guest, Ismail Haniyeh, but also its honor and credibility is on the line. Otherwise, Israel would feel emboldened that they can hit and lash out whenever they can and with whatever means they have. And I think that is unacceptable to the players in the region. Now, the next step, because this is certain to happen, there will be a forceful response. The next step would be in the hands of the Israelis. If they decide to respond back with same forcefulness, then we are probably approaching, and probably is going to happen is that we're going to have a regional war with no bounds, no limits, no red lines.
I want to touch a bit on the timing of all of this, because I fail to accept that it's a coincidence that the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh happens after just a few days or weeks ago Hamas and Fatah signed that unity deal out in Beijing aimed at Gaza governance. I think a show of unity and strength within the resistance organizations, and also Benjamin Netanyahu.
No, I can't hear you. I lost you. I can't hear you. I lost the sound. I can't hear anymore.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media, and before that technical glitch, we're still talking to Professor Sami Al-Arian, and we're talking about the assassination and potential impact thereof of Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas political leader. Prof, before we went to the break, I wanted to touch a bit on the timeline and whether or not this is a coincidence, which I fail to believe. The fact that the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh comes after Hamas and Fatah and other resistance movements of Palestine and Gaza signed that unity deal in Beijing a few weeks ago, and also that visit to the USA by Benjamin Netanyahu. Are in any way all of these movements connected to the ultimate assassination of Ismail Haniyeh?
I think the more significant event was the visit by the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, to the US and addressing Congress. I think what happened there is that he wanted to shore up his support domestically, but also to guarantee that the US would be in his corner as he expands the war. I think Netanyahu has no intention whatsoever to shut down this war. He has no intention to have a deal, a swap deal with the resistance in terms of getting back the captives and releasing Palestinian prisoners. I think his aim all along has been to exterminate and ethnically cleanse the Palestinians from Gaza and to prolong this war as much as possible for both personal reasons, because if this war is shut down, he will probably be held accountable to the failures of October 7th. He will also face the corruption charges and possibly go into prison. But on top of that, he's very much interested politically in re-electing Donald Trump. He is not interested in getting another Democrat in the White House because apparently Republicans are more amenable to his plans for his designs in the Middle East. And also he was able to manipulate Trump during his first term, and he thinks he can do it again. So for all these reasons, he's trying to widen and expand this war. He thinks this is a historic, he and his other right-wing members of his cabinet think that this is a historic opportunity where they can start lashing out at the so-called axis of resistance and also trying to bomb or impact Iran's emerging country as a power in the region by hitting Iran hardly with U.S. complicity and hopefully, in his book, with U.S. involvement. So for all these reasons, this is what happened. So in his visit to Washington, I think he was trying to get that green light. Whether he got the green light or real light, we'll see. I think generally speaking, the Republicans will probably go along with him, as we have seen during his address to Congress. Out of 268 members of Congress, of the House and the Senate, 267 showed up. Only one person boycotted that event. And in the Democrats, there were about 128 attending and 130 actually who boycotted. So there is a real division within the Democratic Party when it comes to the U.S. policy towards Israel, at least with regards to Gaza. And he's trying to exploit this situation by trying to impose his vision and his designs in the region on the U.S.
And just lastly, before I let you go, I think in your opening statement, you mentioned that this is not the first time that the people of Palestine and Hamas, particularly, had to deal with an assassination of a prominent leader. We know, what the response of the Palestinian people is going to be. They have a track record, a steadfastness. It's being even more inspired than ever before. But for other people across the world, this new generation of activists, who since the 7th of October, you've seen the exacerbating of this genocide continue with impunity by the Israeli genocidal forces. The question is, what more can we do? Where to from here, from an activism point of view?
There are only two outcomes, unfortunately, of what's going to happen in this part of the world in Palestine. One vision is Netanyahu's vision, which is to impose Israel's hegemony and control over the whole region, where everybody would have to surrender and submit to Israel's dictates. That's what he's trying to do now, and he thinks that he has the military power and the backing of the US and most of Western Europe in trying to get his vision imposed on the whole region. Unfortunately, there are some governments and regimes in this region that are willing to accommodate him for whatever reasons they have. On the other hand, we have the possible and potential future of defeating and dismantling the apartheid regime in Palestine. The Zionist movement and the Zionist regime is nothing but a colonialist, settler, supremacist, racist, and terrorist regime that is trying to depossess the Palestinians from their homeland. And the Palestinians are determined that they're not going to submit, and they're going to fight for their freedom and for their liberation and for their independence. With that, and what we've seen in the past 10 months, with the war of extermination, with the war of ethnic cleansing, with genocide, which the Israelis and the Zionists have exposed now themselves to their real aim, I think the whole world now was in shock, is in shock, and is trying to make a difference. Activists the world over, millions of people the world over, would have to come together and try to put all kinds of pressure in order to dismantle this apartheid system. This whole notion that there will be a two-state solution is an elusive, is a dream, is nothing but a pipe dream, is nothing but a ruse, where the United States and other countries are trying to make us believe that this somehow is going to come after 30 years of fruitless negotiations. We've seen, for example, that the number of settlers in the West Bank have risen since Oslo from 110,000 to about over 800,000 today. No one is going to be able to uproot or to remove 800,000 settlers who are determined actually to exterminate the Palestinians and to depopulate the West Bank. So the only solution to this would have to be to dismantle these racist Zionist structures in Palestine, where everybody will have the same rights within the mandated Palestine, historical Palestine. And that would involve the millions of people around the world to come and put all kinds of pressure in every phase, politically, diplomatically, economically, commercially, culturally, socially, human rights, legally, even in sports and entertainment. Every aspect that we have to put this pressure in order to make sure that this state cannot survive its genocidal policies that have been taking place. This is Palestine now is becoming the issue that determines the future of the world. It's becoming the symbol, the scale, the key to have a more just world, a world where the free people of the world can celebrate their freedom and independence. As Mandela once said, that our freedom is not complete until the freedom of the Palestinians. Well, that's what we're talking about. The Palestinians are determined to gain their freedom, while the Israelis and the Zionists are determined to put down the Palestinians, to try to deal with them as they have described them as not human, but as human animals. So here we are. This is a test for everybody. It is the key to the future that would be built on having independence and liberation and freedom and justice, where everybody can play a role in this. This is not just for the Palestinians.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Professor Sami Al-Arian giving us his reaction to the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the head of Hamas political bureau, and ultimately what this means for the people of Palestine and their quest for self-determination, but most importantly, internally for Hamas itself as an organization. It was a pleasure, Prof, and I hope to chat to you even more. But we're going to leave it there for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Professor Sami Al-Arian coming to you live from Istanbul out in Turkey. He's a Palestinian academic and political activist based out there in Istanbul. I think there's still a lot more that's going to come. I think reactions from this assassinations, particularly from Iran, because this has happened on their soil. This is a provocation, at its worst, if I can put it in those terms. So it's going to be really, really interesting how the back end of 2024 is going to look like when it comes to the fight for the people of Palestine for self-determination, equal human rights, and statehood. So it's going to be really, really interesting times awaiting us. And as the professor mentioned, the issue of Palestine is one that's now at the epicenter of the whole world. It's going to determine which direction the world takes from here onwards. So really, really interesting times ahead, and we'll be looking very, very closely on that story as it develops, and those events that are sure to shape the future of Palestine resistance and the broader geopolitical landscape. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Maulana Ahmed Tahir Mohammed will be joining us for this week's edition of Juma Inspirations.